Okay, here goes nothing. I think we got sound. Oh boy, this is gonna be a doozy. Hey Pete, I'm on. Yay! Okay, so this one is going to be kind of a little more intensive than I want it to be because I drew it all in one layer. It's just a painting just to kind of get the tone and it's pretty cut up, and so it has the right mood, but I just need to refine it all. So we will try to refine it. I think I'm going to start out by just turning down this and doing some line work first. Inks. Let's see. I'll use my brush that I like on this. Maybe I'll just do it like this. Middle of the page is nicely positioned, I think. Oh, I need to reference this gate, or maybe I don't. Yeah, whatever. See, maybe I'll try to start with her. Do a sketch first. Hey LJ, how you doing? I need to figure out her pose a little better. She looks too sly, like I'm creeping in here. And instead, she needs to be cold and rained on and uncomfortable. And confused. Let's see. Drawing is getting in the way. Just Incredible Studios. Hey James and Chris. Welcome you guys. I might not do very much talking just because this is going to be kind of a monster page for me to do, and it'll probably take all my brain power to be able to do it quickly. I want this to be a different angle. Something like that. Hey James, Phobos has been. It was like a really old comic I drew in high school, and then I kind of republished it, and didn't, couldn't really make it move forward really, because it was just it was something I drew in high school and wrote in high school, and but I still loved it, and I've rewritten it so many times that I finally decided to pull the trigger on relaunching it, and so this is kind of the new version. This is the fully relaunched version of Phobos. It'll still be black and white for the most part, but my hope is it will be a lot better and still retain the stupidness of the original. That's a goal, right? It needs to be as stupid as the original. Confusing with all those other lines. I need to do something on this chat so I know what I've read and haven't read. Let's see. And if you guys, if you want to ask questions, let's see, how do I do it? If you want to ask questions, type question in bold and then write your question. Otherwise, I'll probably just skim through it and not know if you're talking to me or someone else in the chat. That way I can kind of keep this a little bit more entertaining for people, and I don't just sit there and waste a lot of time reading comments that aren't for necessarily engaging. That will... Okay, I'm already failing. Forgive me. It's already a failure. Just sign off right now. Okay, let's see. I'm just so bad at reading comments while I'm streaming that it will make the whole hour of me just kind of stumbling over trying to read comments. Wow, this vanishing point is not working. Let me try to fix that. Okay, everything needs to go something like that. I'm second guessing myself. Okay. Question in all caps followed by question. Oh, thank you. Thank you, LJ. I saw the question in bold and I just went straight to it. See how that works. And sorry, Nick, I'm starting so late. I said to start earlier. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I really was trying, but I failed. But my goal is to do these a lot earlier in the morning than late at night or later in the evening, so I'm not quite as zombie-like. Actually, I should make this on a different layer. Now that I think about it. Do this gate. Nick, it's all that video's fault. I spent way too long editing that video I just put out today, and it's all that video's fault. It's not my fault. I'm the victim here. I guess her hand can be in, but her umbrella is still out of the gate. Makes sense to me. I'm debating if I should have like a lock on this gate, because I don't want it to be very welcoming. I haven't drawn this girl's face in like so long that, and I've never really, I don't think I've ever really figured it out fully, so it's probably going to evolve a lot as I go. I have some panels of her that I really like the way I drew it, but doesn't mean I can get it every time, especially with weird expressions. Let's see. Question, have you ever worked with Sam Keith? After seeing your first Ink Talk, first video I ever saw from you, I am curious. Kinda, not really officially, but he saw my, I mean, I've never had a job with him, but I've talked with him plenty of times and set up meetings for him with people at DreamWorks, so that was kind of fun. And he drew a picture of the Remind characters, and then I colored it. So that was like the most working with him I've ever done. It's just coloring my characters that he drew, and that was just super fun. That was surreal, because I always loved his stuff growing up. And he was the one who reached out to me too. I didn't reach out to him to try to ask him for anything. He's the one who emailed me out of the blue, and that was crazy. That was surreal too. Oops. Let's see. Trying to think of what. She was just kind of like wearing this big black cloak type thing. So I'll just kind of keep that going. Actually, I should have the inside of her umbrella black. I lose all that hair detail. Still can make it work. Yeah. I don't know what to do with her face. I might have to come back and work on her face a little bit more. Maybe when I'm not streaming, because I get so self-conscious working on faces when I'm streaming for some reason. Because I want to nail it, you know, but I don't. And it always takes a lot of like second guessing and reworking it to get it right. Let's see, we can... remember what. Sorry, I gotta take a little detour to just see exactly what I have her wearing in previous shots. A lot of these pages these pages I actually did a long time ago, like while I was at late at night during the time I was working at DreamWorks, and probably 2014, I think. And so it's kind of, it's like this is my attempt to finally finish those pages that I started. And so, but the problem is a lot of this stuff I was kind of figuring out as I went. So the character design kind of changed from page to page, and sometimes she's wearing, you know, a long sleeve shirt, sometimes a cloak, sometimes short sleeve shirt, and it just depends on what looks best at the end and what fits the continuity of this scene. And so give me 1 second while I look at these pages. Alright, so here's like a future page. Yeah, so she's wearing a long sleeve shirt. She took off her cloak at this point. She has like a skirt on. Okay. I'll go with that. Okay. Why can't I move my canvas? Oh. I'm really trying to push with this comic to have it loose and have it have nothing really like super highly refined. And so I'm pushing myself to go fast without fixing everything, if that makes sense. And you know, the hands, I could like spend more time like trying to get these the right anatomy and stuff, but this one I don't think it's about that, and so I'm trying to just go for it and get the main, you know, the main elements in there. And if it bothers me later, then I can, then I can refine it a little bit more. But for the most part, I want to get the pages done quick, and then yeah, if they bother me, then I continue tweaking them. But most of the times I get stuff done quickly, and I like it, and I don't feel like anything. I don't feel like I want to change things, because there's something about the real loose, sketchy stuff that's done well that I really like, and so much of that gets lost when you clean it up and tighten it up really, really tight. Let's see. I'll just make this all black. I guess this should all be black because she kind of has a cloak. So maybe this will all be black. Could have a hint at light on her shoulder. That works. That makes it easy. If we turn the gate all the way up. Probably need to put a little bit of a highlight on this gate so that you can see it. Now you can tell if she's in front of it or behind it. I don't know if that's the answer yet, but at least it kind of solves the problem real quick. I'll just leave it like that for a second. I can turn it off later. I might just have her be a little less black than the gate. You know, if I knock her down. Where's... Oh, it's weird. When I'm using black and white only, I can't pull up the hue saturation. I'm so used to just automatically doing that. So see, I could do something kind of like that. Then I don't need to worry about the highlight. And maybe just increase the line blackness. I don't know. I'll mess with it until I get it to where I like it, I guess. I really don't like her face, though. Okay, what was our original looking like? It was that. Well, it's better than that, I hope. Need to continue that umbrella. Or continue working on it. I'll worry about her coloring a little bit later. Okay, I'll throw away that sketch. Now I'm going to just move on to, I guess, the character in the bottom. Or maybe I'll just start working on the background stuff, actually. Oh, let me make sure I'm not missing any questions. Can you give me a short summary of the storyline of Phobos? It's about an ancient, most powerful vampire ever who just did whatever he wanted and had the most power out of anything in the whole world. He fell off of his castle one night and got stuck in his toxic moat while trying to transform into a bat. And then 700 years later, his castle was taken over by a mad scientist who was creating a Frankenstein's type character. And eventually they pull Phobos out of the moat. No one knows who he was. And no one knows that he was the same creature because he's stuck in mid-transformation. And it just plays with all the classic horror characters. It's really kind of a slapstick, stupid, monsters, Addams Family type thing. That's what inspired me to do it a long time ago. And so it's just kind of like my take on the classic horror characters, and I'm trying to infuse like my storytelling into that. And but that's all I got for right now. I mean, I have it all planned out. I've actually written this whole thing, and it goes on forever. And you know, it's kind of an experiment. Like this first book, I want it to be like 300 pages long, and the first hardcover book, and it would cover like, you know, 1/10 of the story. And I just kind of want to put it out there and see if people resonate with it. And if they don't, then I'll probably work on it really slowly for the rest of my life because it's just a joy to work on this for me. But you know, if people really like it and respond well to it, then I'll probably put more effort into it than if people don't, of course, you know. I mean, it's kind of how it works. But since this one has the potential to be a really long, ongoing story, I can't guarantee that it will be the thing I work on until it's finished. And because I have other stories that are more serious. This one has serious points, but I have other stories that are more serious that I really do want to get to pretty soon. And so I want to get as much of this one out there as I can, just to see how the public responds to it. And then if they respond well, then I'll put more time into continuing it. And if not, then it'll be my lifelong project that I'll be barely working on the last issue when I die. And everyone will be like, is he going to actually finish it? The 5 people who like it will be like, please finish it. And everyone else is like, what's that? Who cares? This is all going to be about me blocking in shapes for a while. Oh boy, I got some questions. More questions. Good, 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 good. Let me get these bushes and trees put in, and then I'll answer your question. That was a fail. Kind of redrew that same bush again. I'll just move it. Let me look at this question. Oh no, the question disappeared. Question: how do you define quality artwork when looking at webtoons? What are you evaluating? It's just that I don't know how to answer this politely. Well, okay, there's a difference between an artist who's put in a lot of time learning the skill, drawing, and who really knows what they're doing, who's doing something quick and has sketches. Like the people at DreamWorks would do that all the time. They'd have these quick sketches, and they were beautiful. They did them just in their sleep because they really mastered their craft. And then there's the other side where it's like that's as good as someone can do, kind of. And I'm sounding really like a jerk, But Webtoons kind of encourages like speed, and so you get a lot of like middle grade artists that haven't perfected their craft, and they're forcing themselves to go fast, and so they make these shortcuts, and they don't quite complete. It doesn't feel finished, you know, and I think that's kind of what I'm referring to, because there's decision making in art where you can make decisions to have a quickly drawn thing, and that's just it, you know, stick figure comics, you know, like the Order of the Stick, and that's fine, but then there's the one where it's like, it's just the quality is just not there yet, and it might be because they're not good enough of an artist, or because they're just forced to hammer this thing out so quick, you know. Like if I turn this into Webtoons like this, you know, it wouldn't. It just would. There's a lot of potential in it, but it doesn't look finished. You know, so I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. A lot of it's just my opinion too about what I like and don't like, but it's nothing I would really pay for. You know, there's a lot of stuff on Webtoons I wouldn't pay for it. Another question. Ooh, that's a nice question. How did you do that, James? Ooh, question. Grindrod copy. Sorry, I said your name so badly. Copy and paste this question thing, and then add it to the beginning of your question. Oh, thanks. You just made me read that because you put question there. Grr, anger. Just joking. Okay, so Nielsen tagged me, so I definitely see that. What's a good average salary for a full-time webcomic creator? I don't think there is an average. I think it's a sliding scale. You really kind of have no ceiling. You can work for scraps forever, and you can make millions if you tap into it the right way. So, you know, your pay depends on how you strategize and how you do what you're doing, you know. There's always going to be people too that make a lot of money that are on top, and there's going to be an awful lot of people that don't make any money. So, you know, no one hires anyone for webcomic with the webcomic salary. So I'm writing salary here. I need to write bushes 3 or background BG. So that's a hard question to answer. If you have the vision and the ability and the dedication, you can make as much money as you want, I think, with webcomics. And you can create your own salary. But, you know, you gotta be very, very exceptional and savvy and business smart and an entrepreneur and experimental, and, you know, I don't know, there's a lot of factors in it that will determine how much money you can make. So I don't know about an average. Actually, maybe on average you're looking at a couple $100 a month. That's probably on average, honestly. Because there's an awful lot of webcomics that don't make money, and there's very few that do. So that's probably the honest answer. I mean, even though webcomics have been around for a while now, it's still the Wild West. You're still paving your own roads, you know. Okay, I have this castle already, so I might just grab it. It has a different shape, though. I think I'm going to mess with this castle always changing shape. just because I don't want to lock myself into one one kind of shape. Let's see. Open. What are some good examples of successful webcomics I can look at? Oh boy. You guys in the comments throw out some examples, because a lot of it's opinion, I think. There's a lot of successful ones that I hate the art of it. I just don't like it and I'm not attracted to it, so I'd never consider it a success if I did it. Because I want something that looks beautiful and has the story that I want to tell. So what are some... I'm an artist who is planning on having a comic published someday. Can I have a tip on how to get into the business? Just make one. Do a comic. And then when you're done with that one, do another one. Keep going. You'll only learn by doing them. That's the straight up truth right there. And it's opinion. It's truth and opinion. Let's see. Give me a second while I look for a file that I need to find. Oops. Didn't mean to open that. That is not what I wanted. Give me a second. Again. Another second. Okay. These fonts are driving me crazy. Okay, so I have a castle here. Let me find it. Drag it over. So this is kind of my, how you see it early on. Doesn't mean it needs to be that same shape because it could be a different angle. I might keep it real similar though, so that it's obvious it's the same castle. Man, I hope I'm keeping up with you guys. Question, hey there, J-Dog. Glad to see that you are back on YouTube streaming away. But what's your step-by-step process of designing characters and environments? My step-by-step process. Usually, I have to kind of start working on pages, and that dictates how that dictates a lot for me. I need to kind of put those characters into a situation, and just start kind of playing with that, and then I start getting a sense of what I like about the characters and don't like. I can kind of start getting a sense of the design of the character. Does that make sense? And it's a lot of back and forth. It's not really, there's nothing really very easy about it for me. I can't just sit down and design characters all day long. It's really boring for me. And so I like to design kind of and then throw them into some pages, see how they look and how the characters act and how their clothes work, and you know, if it gets in the way or if it's annoying to draw it, and then I kind of go from there. And so that's what's going on with this character, this girl. I have quite a few pages done, and she's kind of transforming through those pages, and then at some point I need to go back and kind of iron it all out. And I also there's sometimes when I don't need to do that, and I do character turnarounds, and model sheets. And then, you know, that really helps. But sometimes I can't do that. I have a hard time doing that sometimes. So let me just get this moon in. And I have this, I have this iconic moon image for Phobos that I printed on like a dot matrix printer, and I debate if I want to use that over and over again, but maybe I'll just do a placeholder for now. Castle needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I might have to tweak the castle just a little bit to show that 700 years has passed. It can't be exactly the same junk hanging off of it, because that would be so inaccurate. Okay, where's my stuff? So let's make this into one group. Panel. So as you can see, I'm just kind of blocking in all the shapes. I'm going to worry about getting the details just right later. And what I mean by details, I mean like the gradients and any like rim lighting or anything like that. Kind of hard to see what I'm doing because of the crazy drawing underneath. Hopefully you guys can actually see. It's probably not very clear. This probably won't be the standard way that I'd work on these Phobos pages. Oops, I put that on the wrong layer. Okay, that works. Getting through it. Let's see if there's any more questions for me. Hey Jason, Nikki here. At the tail end of Cithra, how many panels were you working on? I'm launching my featured soon on Webtoons and can already feel the heat. Yeah. Well, congratulations first on being featured on Webtoons. That's a really big deal. Let's see. At the tail end. Well, with Cithra, I did it. This is how I had to do it, and I had to do this through the whole thing. I started out with a whole book already done, and so that ended up being about 11 weeks worth of content. So during those 11 weeks, I was working on the second book, and I got about 2 months worth of content ready in those first 11 weeks. And so I was able to do book 1 and 2 in back to back, and then I believe it was after book 2, maybe after book 3, that I had to do a hiatus. I had to take 3 months off so that I could storyboard, like thumbnail and sketch and draw and write and stuff and get ahead. Otherwise, I would have just been working week to week, and there's no way I could have done that. So pretty much from that point on, it seems like, if I remember correctly, I had to take off, excuse me, about 3 months in between each book for the last 4 books, I think, just to catch up and to get enough stuff done and in the bag. And then by the time I would get close to the end of those books, I was like, it was right on my tail. I was barely getting stuff done in time. And so that's how it ended. And I did speed up during the process. And I did have a guy help me color stuff towards the end. I found a local artist who helped me color, and he did a really good job. He did probably half the pages on Cithra 5 and 6. A bulk of the work, and then I would just kind of clean it up or tweak it or make some adjustments to the lighting to tie it back to my style if it strayed. So that really helped me be able to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it. Let's see, I'm doing the walkway side. So, yeah, it's a tricky thing to stay ahead of that schedule. That was really hard for me. But some artists can do it real easy, and I don't know how they do it. It's like, they work on it full time, but they seem to not get burnt out, and they can kind of keep ahead of it. And I don't know how they do that. It's not my gift. Go back in there and add some more detail to that area a little later. So I need to do the water. I need to figure out, there's some plants down here. I'll add those to, well, let's see. Let me finish this walkway. I think the idea was that the walkway curves around here. and crosses over. Like that. And then I just put rain on this, rain on the walkway and plants and stuff like that. Bushes, I mean, not plants. And flowers planted nicely along the walkway to the creepy castle. It's getting there. Okay, let me look at comments again. Yeah, I'm all caught up. Woohoo! I'm glad you guys are communicating. That makes it easy. If you guys are answering questions too, then I don't have to know everything. Let's see. Walkway side. Man, that's hard to look at. It's just like strains my eyes looking at that. Is that? I was wondering if I should make a little stone walkway or stone path or something, or stone edge or something. glitch. Boogers. Oh, I see a question. You guys are probably looking at this going, what is that monstrosity? What is that thing? That's looking all right, actually. The fun part will be when we get to start doing the lighting on it and stuff. Yeah, her face. Okay, let's look at some questions again. Pearson says, have you seen the Blender grease pencil coming up? It looks cool, but what are your favorite softwares for hand-drawn animation? You know, I'm so far removed from the animation world that I'm not caught up on it yet. I know that there's a lot of stuff that's come out since I did hand-drawn animation professionally, and there's a lot of stuff I would love to experiment with, but I just haven't because I don't do it. So I don't know the answer. I don't really have a favorite out of all the tools now, you know? Like, there just wasn't many options when I did it. So I'd use like After Effects and stuff like that. But I know that there's really neat things now that I would love to try if I was jumping back into animation. What are, let's see, James says, what are a few of your inspirations? A lot of the comics in the 90s. I liked manga growing up. Not much manga, more anime. Like Akira, you know, got me into anime back in the day. And then Miyazaki's work is very inspiring as far as movies. Yeah, a lot of the 90s artists, though, for comics. It's harder these days to find things that I'm inspired by. I'll tell you what, though. it's a kind of a different genre, but I really like the way, and you guys might hate this or love it, but 21 Pilots, this band, they're putting out their new album, and they've been releasing songs, and it's almost like a movie. Like if you watch it on YouTube, it's like they're directing them all like it's a big giant movie, and it's just blowing my mind, and it's so cool. And I love the themes that he sings about and the visuals, and it's just like that's been really inspiring, just seeing that unfold. And I don't see much stuff that really kind of gets me like excited like that, but I'm getting excited. But it's because of the storytelling nature of how they're doing it and how like intense and heartfelt it feels at the same time. So let's see. Oh, there was another question. How many panels do you get through roughly per day or week? Well, that just depends on what I'm working on. I have been struggling to kind of get my next project in order and even start something. I've done a lot of short things over the last couple months, and sometimes I can move really fast, and sometimes it's a struggle to just get a couple panels done. So it really depends. I'm just now jumping back into Phobos, and so I'm really trying to warm back up to it and ramp back up and figure out my pace and my speed. Well, not that. Figure out the way I'm going to do it. Figure out, like, get comfortable with the characters again, even though I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of the characters. But just wrapping my head around the style and the approach, and, you know, I am going to have someone help me do a lot of the background art on this one again. Same guy who helped me with Cithra. And so a lot of those pages will be panels where I draw it, and then it doesn't really matter what's in the background as much, and I'll just let my friend color it. I'll give him references, you know. So that will definitely speed me up. But pages like this where I'm trying to make it into kind of like a painting, it's a lot more time intensive. And especially when I'm streaming, because then I forget what I'm working on. Let's see. Oh yeah, I did this layer. Foreground bushes. Okay. Let me get this done, and then I think there's another question that I'll get to in a second. Just put some of these big old like grass blades coming up through here, cutting through the frame. It's almost like they're pointing to the castle. Put that there. It's working. I think most of the detail is going to be in the rain. The rain's going to really knock down all this detail and make it so it doesn't exist really. What am I looking for? I'm looking for something. Walkway side. Here we go. Bring that down. Okay, I need to kind of work on the water, and then I think I'll work on like rain, and then just kind of hitting it with some grads and highlights if I need it. This reflection is going to be that's kind of the selling point right there for me, is that nice reflection. Come on, stop it. Here we go. What is that? blob down there. Let's move it. Okay, let me go back to these questions. Oh boy, there's a lot. Okay, Mo Lee says, Jason, question, what characters or series do you like when you were a kid? I liked Savage Dragon and Spawn and Spider-Man before that. I liked Ninja Turtles. I liked Sam Keith's The Max. I liked a lot of newspaper funnies like Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes and The Far Side. Yeah, those are some of the things that really inspired me as a kid. James says, what do you like more, Jumpsuit or Nico and the Niners? I like Nico and the Niners, but there's a new one that came out today. Have you heard that one? You got to hear that one. It's awesome. Please, just shut this stream off and go see it. They just put it out. It's so stinking amazing. Anyway, let's see. Any other questions? Question, Nielsen, how many panels go up in a weekly webcomic on average? Oh, whoa. I don't think there is a real easy way to answer that. It really depends on the webcomic and how, webcomics are like, they're labors of love for the most part. And so sometimes it's one a week, sometimes it's a chunk of pages in a month. I don't know if you're talking about webtoons, everybody's different. So yeah, I don't know. If it's webtoons, they want you to do like 40 to 60 panels probably a week. So, but that's what webtoons wants. That to me is crazy, unrealistic, especially for what I'm doing, because like, for instance, this page here this is a spread, so this is 2 pages. So this only would count as like 2 panels, even though it's 2 pages. So when I'm doing book stuff and converting it to webtoons, it just zaps me. It's just hard to keep up with what they demand, because a whole spread would just count as 1 panel. And they're like, you need 39 more. Let's see. Question, is this a new series that you're working on? Yes, Keeman, it is. Well, it's actually the relaunch of Phobos. So it's Phobos, but it's brand new. I'm not brand new. I've started working on it a long time ago again, but I've never released anything. And so it's the new version of Phobos. Trooper Joe 73 says, question, for a rusty artist, what practice tips would you recommend? Area of focus, type of specific training techniques, etc. Well, this is just a shameless plug, but I've been working on this thing called cognitive drawing. You can get it on my Gumroad page. That's how I taught myself to draw, is with that kind of technique. And I don't know of anyone else. I know a couple people who talk about it now that I've released what I've released. I've found some similarities to other people's things, but it's a repetitive type thing, doing it from memory, from a reference, from memory, from reference, from memory, and repeating it, and then like just different it's a way to get styles to really master someone's style. But I made this little beta book for learning anatomy, so check it out. You might like it. It's like $12 right now, and it's like 80 pages, I think, at this point. I'm trying to add pages to it as I go, but I just I can't work on it for too long without itching to come back to an actual story. Oh, there's more questions. I'm sorry, guys, who want to just watch me draw, because I keep reading these questions. Do you usually draw cylinders, cubes, or other volumes when drawing your characters, or do you focus more on the shape design of them? You go straight to gesture and ink. Yeah, I don't usually draw any cylinders or anything. I think that's a good practice technique starting out, but I kind of visualize all that stuff, and then it's like I'm drawing over it, but it's in my head at this point. A lot of times it makes for my characters morphing all over the place, but I kind of like that. But it's not to say, too, that I don't need more practice with with characters and anatomy. It's like I always do, but yeah, I don't like to sit there and draw cylinders. I just start with lines. A question from Chris: did you have to work with an editor on your featured webtoon? Were they evil, or have different tastes than you? No, I did have an editor. It was the guy who worked with me to get on contract with them. He was my quote-unquote editor, but he never said anything to me about my book. He never told me to change anything. In fact, there was, you know, a lot of spelling problems and stuff in it when it went on Webtoons that were never fixed. And so I don't think he even paid attention as far as editing goes. Okay, I'm going to get back to this and focus a little bit and see if I can get this water figured out. So what I'm going to do is turn off all this stuff. I'm going to start with the reflection. I hope this works out okay. I'm just kind of guessing that this is going to work. Sometimes with water reflections and these like effect type things, sometimes you just nail them and you don't know why, and you can't imitate it again. And then sometimes it just never looks right. It just doesn't look right at all, and I can't figure it out either. And then sometimes I get it, and I'm like, yeah, I figured that out, and that was easy. So we'll see if this one works. I think I have a pretty good strong reference from my sketch already, so I think I'll be able to get it without much problem. And then, of course, I'm going to have rain drops, little circles, where the rain is hitting the water too. But that will be another phase, another pass. Now I'm going to do the water underneath that. Should be pretty easy. Now that I think about it, the water that's on the road and stuff should be the same layer. But I want it to be under the road. So, okay, whatever. It's not going to be the same layer, but that's okay. I'll just make sure it's the same color. I think that works. work on that bush. There's problems with it. I see. It's a little better. Okay. Okay, a lot of this is going to be in the grads and filters and all that fun stuff now. I do want to have some nice little highlights like I kind of have in the sketch. So we'll do that. Reflection, highlights. But they're not light. Reflection, shadows. Okay, I think that's enough shapes to work with now. Now it's just a matter of, yeah, what is it a matter of? It's a matter of, I don't know. I'm gonna just stop talking. I do want to put some debris in there, or leaves. Because the wind's blowing so fast, so hard. See how this looks when I fill it in. Okay, I think that's enough to work with. I want to add some nice glows. Stop. Oh, you guys. Really good questions again. Pearson says, "What was the podcast? What was the podcast you were guest in recently? I went to listen to it." Are you talking about the one that I mentioned in that last video that I just posted today? I have a link to that one in that video, in the show notes to that video. That one wasn't real recent. I thought there was another one that I did after that. I haven't really done many recently. There are a couple that I need to schedule with people that people have wanted me to be a guest, and I just haven't scheduled it yet. So sorry. Okay, any more questions in here? Nope. Jason, please read this. You got it. Just did it. Let's see. Okay. Glows. It's funny, the shape of the castle changes so much. I really want to imitate the mood of this. It's just so sloppy. So, okay, let's try to do some glows. Moon glow. Where's a big fat brush? Oh. Bushes, there we go. Have a sky. No wonder. Sky. We'll title that Sky. Fog, or let's say clouds. I don't know where I got this brush from, but works well for clouds. I don't use it too much because I don't want it to be obvious that I'm using brushes for this stuff. Do a little bit of that glow on the water reflection too. Let's see, where's the water reflection? Okay. I'm still using that cloudy brush. Well, it works. You get a normal brush again. we need to do the water drops, the water on the road and stuff. Okay, I can do that. I'm not afraid. Let's see what it looks like with the grain. Let me save it. Oh. How long have I been going? I want to get at least the most of this background done before I stop. But I do need to take a break soon. Water pools. Okay, I'm just going to do some little highlights on these the road where like water is collected. I'm just going to start by imitating what I did in my sketch. And then adding to it. I don't know if that's going to be overkill or not. I'll try it. Let's see how that works with all the bushes and stuff. This dumb little bush right here is really not cool. That works, I think. What's going on? Oh, what's that? What is that? Okay. Okay, a little glow on the castle would be nice. Kind of give it that heavy moonlit feel. I'm going to just try to throw in some grads. I'm gonna throw in some rain. Except my brush is, I had a rain brush, but I lost it. I was just cloning all of my rain from the previous shots, but this one I want to have it be a little different, so I'm just going to draw them in, I think. Hopefully I can make them feel right. I'll just turn everything off except for this, which will be lowered opacity. Go up to my rain and I'll just start carving these into it with my same old crusty line brush. Before I do that, let me look at comments. See if there's anything new, any new questions. Austin says, how do you format your panels for Webtoons? I draw my panels on single pages, and I'm not certain how to format them for Webtoons Infinite Canvas Scroll. I think Chris answered it, 800 by 1280 page, but 3 or 4 panels on it, one above the other. It's a good method. What I do is I just have an 800 wide canvas, and I drag my panels onto it, and then I use the splicer tool in Photoshop to say where I want the panels to be spliced. And as long as it's less than 1280, then you're safe. And so I just splice it up and then save it with that splicer tool with the Save for Web feature in Photoshop. And it'll save out each one of those sections with a new number at the end of it. Something like that. So that's the easiest way I've found it. That took me several months to finally get that, and my assistant helped me figure it out and stuff like that, because it was a pain to save those things out. But splicer tool, look into that in Photoshop. I'll try to make it, I don't know, maybe I'll make a demo of that, how I did that, because I know that was a big, annoying thing for me to figure out. Okay, rain. We love rain. This rain isn't quite as straight as my sketches because I just motion blurred the sketch. I think it still works though. It's, you know, rain doesn't all come down the exact same angle, especially if it's windy. So that's my excuse for being lazy. What? That was crazy. Should have just done this smaller. Had a smaller canvas. Oops. Then I can do strokes a little better. idiot. This makes for some real exciting live streaming, huh? Okay, I think that works. Now I kind of want to go in there and kind of add a little bit more to the rain, so it's not so just. Does that make sense? No one wants the rain to be. I'm thinking like some kind of lighter and darker areas of the rain. And then I also want to add some kind of drops, raindrops. And just a couple. Oh, I'm going too fast. I'm trying to go fast, but I'm going too fast. Maybe they need to be a little more clumped into a group. Usually with the rain, I've found that, at least what it seems like when you see the rain reflecting in light, you see it in clumps. Not because the rain's in clumps, but because the light's only hitting part, you know, a certain area of the rain. Especially, you know, you can tell really clearly, like under street lamps and stuff like that, when it's raining. Like, you see a nice cone of rain, and then you don't really see the rain anywhere else. It's definitely not kind of how I'm drawing that, but anyway. It's getting there. It's close. With the filters on there, it's looking pretty good. I almost feel like I want to do a little bit more moodiness. This top panel, the light, the color is not done, so I'll have to work on that. But and I think I want to have some lights on in the castle. Let's compare that to our original. I think it's pretty successful. I might want to darken some of those mid-ground bushes. Maybe a little bit more of these foreground bushes. Mainly so I can draw attention to them. Or draw attention to the front of the scene, where the girl's going to be. I want to draw attention to that. So that kind of works. And then what else? There's the foreground bushes, not those, but these I think I need to get a little bit more dark in there. Not that dark. Can't figure out where these bushes are that I'm looking for. Those. Not these either, but maybe I could just, yeah, that works. That helps. Oh, there they are. I want to do something with that path a little bit. I need to do water drops hitting the ground and hitting the water, a light inside the castle. Something with this interior of this wall to kind of define it just a little bit more, or even push it more into shadows. I mean, that could work, just something as simple as that. Because I don't want you to focus on that. I want you to focus on first this panel where she walks through the gate, and then there's a page break right here. So I'd want you to go down and see the character here, and then go up to the castle. I'll leave it that way for now. I think that kind of works. I'm going to add the character in here before I do any more on this background, because that's going to really help me make decisions. But I think for now I'm going to stop it there as far as the stream goes, because I made really good progress, better progress than I kind of thought I would. So really happy with it. Let me look at the comments and see if there's any more questions before we sign off. Where are we at? Okay, I guess we're all caught up. If you guys do have any more questions, ask them now, because I'm signing off. So going once, going twice. Well, let me give you enough time to type if you want to ask a question. Oh, but while I wait, thanks you guys for watching. This is a page from my new version of Phobos. You can get access to Phobos only if you become a patron. And I'm going to have it be a patron-only comic. I will continue to stream, though, as I make it, so you can always see progress. But in order to read it, you'll have to become a patron. Go to patreon.com/Jason Brubaker to get that. And what else? That's really it for now. The first chunk of these pages will be released this month on Patreon. I'll probably release at least 20 or 30 pages on Patreon. So that's that. Thanks, you guys. Oh, I see some questions. So let me hit these up real quick, and then we'll sign off. Do you listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers? I used to a lot. I really loved a lot of their stuff when I was younger. I just haven't much recently, as in the last 5 years or so, because I don't know. I just, tastes change, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like some of the music I liked when I was younger is not as good for me to listen to. If that, it might not make sense to some people, but music affects me, And so if I listen to 9 Inch Nails like I did when I was a kid, then I start getting kind of a little weird. Even though I love their music, I don't like them, and I don't like listening to it anymore. So does that make sense? Question: when is your usual bedtime? At 8 o'clock. No. It's changed a lot recently because it's summer, but we've been going to bed around 11 recently. When the kids are in school, I'll probably be going to bed at like 10 so that I can get up at like 6-ish so that I can read and do my stuff before the kids wake up. So that's usually the pattern once school starts. What are your tips to drawing action scenes? Do thumbnails real small and stick with what you figured out in your thumbnails. Don't try to do an action scene big first, because the energy in your thumbnails is what is so important, I think. So try to preserve that as much as you can. Stick to that thumbnail even if it means it's off model. That's what I suggest. What are your tips drawing action scenes? Oh, I already answered that. Question: when can I get a hardbound version of Remind Volume 2? If you can find one used, you can get it that way. I don't plan on making any more reprinting of the individual volumes, but I do plan on making an omnibus version of Remind, and I'm hoping to release that next year. I want to do a Kickstarter for it. If there's enough support, then I'll add a new chapter to the end of the whole book, and so it'll be an omnibus, and that would be that's going to be the next way to get an actual nice hardcover version of Remind. I really miss having the hardcovers, but I just can't afford to print one of them. I would have to print both of them. You know what I'm saying? So I can't afford that. And there's not enough demand for me to do that. Have you done a tour of your workstation, little studio? Kind of, yeah. It's on my YouTube channel. There's a studio tour there. Let's see. It's always good to see streaming again. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it, you guys. Thanks, y'all. Love y'all. Thank you so much for participating, and I'll be back online hopefully earlier tomorrow. And I'll see you guys later.